Well, hello everybody. I thought that it might be a cool idea to do another Disney Adventures reading. It's been a long time. In fact, I don't even know if I've done one in our house here. So if you're unfamiliar, basically what I'm going to be doing is I take the Disney Adventures magazine. Today's issue is June 1st, 1997. There you go. This is the Lost World, a Jurassic Park sneak peek. I take a Disney Adventures magazine from yesteryear, and we were going to look at some of the highlights to just have a look through the past and just a nice little nostalgic stroll through this very specific window of time in pop culture, specifically kids pop culture. So I picked this one because we have a new Jurassic World movie coming out, and this was the first Jurassic Park sequel, The Lost World, and it was hyped up big in 1997. Because Jurassic Park was one of the biggest movies that ever came out. And so when the sequel was coming, you better believe it came with a huge marketing campaign. Even though really, it's not a film for kids. So the fact that it's right on the front cover of Disney Adventure magazine tells you a lot. Because it's not for kids and it's not by Disney. But also because it was a summer issue. They have this 101 cool things to do this summer. We're going to have a look through that to see some of the things that happened, again, in that window of pop culture through the summer of 1997. Yeah, I think it'll be a lot of fun. So let's start. So first of all, I remember loving this cover because of, all of the dinosaur stuff. Say what you will about the accuracy, now that we know a little more scientifically speaking of what the dinosaurs were like. It's still all speculative, really. So, say what you will, the designs of Jurassic Park were pretty cool. And I loved the raptor. I keep wanting to say rappers. And I love the raptors in the first film. And they were honestly the highlight of the second movie as well. Not so much the third. Alan. They're big. They're bad. They're back. Sneak peek, The Lost World. Jurassic Park. So comment. Oh, by the way, I guess wearing this to protect my hands right now. Man, what I remember the most about The Lost World Jurassic Park was the campaign for the action figures. Those dino hunters, and they basically, you'd get the dinos and the dino hunters, and I never got any of the toys myself. Okay, so yeah, there's the T-Rex head at the side, right? And then the T-Rex would go crash, like break right through the barriers. It was like The Lost World, and then Jurassic Park, and then
The Lost World Jurassic Park.
We were stalking the Cyclops raptor in our hunter Humvee with Capture Claw.
I can still hear it in my head because I was so it was like it was yesterday. I saw those commercials so often, and I think why Disney Adventures went with that is because I think regardless of what age the Jurassic Park movies were geared for, kids were interested. They loved the dinosaurs. They loved the thrills. I think they knew kids were going to watch it. The parents are going to bring their kids. It'd be scary. But it didn't matter because, the kids thought dinosaurs were cool and they were going to watch a cool dinosaur movie. All right, let's dive into the Disney Adventure magazine. First, we have an ad for Buddy with Rene Russo, a true story. I have no memory of this movie whatsoever. This is like the perfect time for me to have a memory for this movie. From Jim Henson Pictures, that explains the very good-looking gorilla. Like, very well crafted as far as, like, good, you know what I mean. Peanut butter crunch. Captain Crunch joins the 90s and becomes a rollerblader. Because why not? Rollerblading was cool. And 2 full panels advertising the Hercules movie. Strikes theaters this June. Kind of right in the tail end of the Disney Renaissance. This is when you start to see cracks and the Disney machine not quite churning out as good as films as they used to. But it was still fun. Are you guys ready to see what is hot and what is not? This is according to Lauren Pierce of Apex Elementary School in Apex, North Carolina. Oh, it even gives a little warning. You may disagree. What was hot? The Fugees and 311. I don't know much 311 to be honest. They did a pretty good cover of Love Song by The Cure. Fugees, the score, the 1996 album, The Score, that one holds up pretty good. It's a hip hop classic, I think, at this point. So, good intuitions, 5th graders. That one stands the test of time. All for One I don't know who All For One is, but apparently they were not cool for 5th graders. And Elvis. I'm guessing that means Elvis Presley. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. You know, Elvis Presley not being cool to 5th graders in 1997 wasn't of the time. What's for fashion? Soccer shorts. Hot. I mean, you know, I find them very practical if you're playing soccer. Suspenders. Not cool. You know what? If they're pretty darn cool if your name is Steve Urkel. Hot. Adam Sandler. Yeah, that checks out. 5th graders in 1997. What is that? Happy Gilmore? Billy Madison? Not hot. Dennis Rodman. I don't really have much of an opinion of Dennis Rodman. I really like the joke they made about him in Men in Black. Hot. Fast food. Very generic. You know, it's hard to argue. You know, but fast food doesn't matter. Not school food. I mean, it's all the same crap, really. What would you say to a music star? We asked junior reporters what they'd ask their favorite musicians and groups. Apparently, a lot of kids in the 90s still love the Beatles. What was it like when all the girls screamed every time you passed by? Sarah Wall wanted to ask the Beatles at 11 years old. My understanding is that they got very, very sick of it, and that's why they stopped touring, because it was very stressful. Allison Curry, 16, would ask Gwen Stefani of No Doubt, as my fashion idol, I must ask you this, where do you get your clothes? The answer was from the clothing store. Aaron Webb, 14, to ask Dave Grohl, Nirvana's ex-drummer and Foo Fighters lead singer, have the Foo Fighters recorded any of Nirvana's unused songs? And actually, I think my understanding is no, in that Dave Grohl was already writing songs while he was in Nirvana. And Grohl felt very, like he said that Kurt Cobain was very encouraging to his songwriting, despite the stereotype that, you know, drummers shouldn't really be writing songs. Turns out that that's not the case, and definitely the Foo Fighters are the exception. I did not know for a long time that Dave Grohl, I knew he was in the Foo Fighters. I didn't know he was Nirvana's drummer. I think I was just kind of a little too young when Nirvana were big to really like be aware of what was going on musically. So this is all stuff I kind of learned in retrospect. Okay, looking at some of the movies that are coming out in this time. Apparently Home Alone 3 was getting released. I haven't seen Home Alone 3, actually. I think this Christmas season, stay tuned to the channel, we're going to do a Doug Hasn't, because Allie's seen it a lot of times. Doug hasn't seen Home Alone 3. It was kind of laughed at when it came out, but apparently now has quite a following among the kids who grew up with it. So, you know, maybe there's something there. Or maybe not. This is, okay, this is what I really like. I have seen this movie, but only like once, and it was so long ago I barely remember anything about it. Warriors of Virtue. You can sort of see the characters in Warriors of Virtue here, but it's just such a strange film of a kid who goes to a world where there's warriors who are kangaroo people. Like, those kind of movies just don't get made anymore. Like, and there was the special effects and makeup were really cool. I don't know if the movie was any good, actually, but I still love the fact that was just this crazy idea for a movie, and just so many talented artists worked on it, and it looks both ridiculous and awesome. That's kind of a lost relic from the 90s. That's not one that really gets talked about too much, but yeah, that might be worth searching up and looking back at. Again, I can't say it was good as a movie, but you gotta appreciate at the very least the 90s special effects, the really practical work that went into it. Okay, so there's a DA Dino giveaway where the Velociraptor model is shown on the cover. You could actually enter contests and win it, but it's big. It's 2.5 feet high. It's 7 feet long because it's all this tail. And I'm just trying to think of where on earth would I, if I won that thing, where would I have kept it? This huge, it'd be longer than my arm length because I'm not even 6 feet tall. I don't know. I don't just how do you keep something like that unless you have a really big house? It's just you couldn't move that into a little apartment or anything like that. It's sorry, Mom, is it okay if you keep this forever? Might be cool for movie collectors though. For the right person, it's a great gift. All right, so getting into the Lost World section. So It opens with a conversation with the Vanessa Lee Chester, who plays Jeff Goldblum's daughter. Yeah, you know, some of the weaker parts of the film have to do with her. She kind of gets herself in trouble, and then she like kills a velociraptor using gymnastics and stuff like that. Like even saying it out loud, it sounds really silly. And in the movie, it is fairly silly as well. But she did a good job, like for her age. You know, she's a good kid actor. But yeah, apparently she was cast by Steven Spielberg because he saw her performance in The Little Princess, which I did used to watch as a kid. My grandma had it on VHS, and we would watch it there. And I didn't know until way later that movie was directed by Alfonso Cuarón. But what a cool job that would be, huh? To work with like Jeff Goldblum and Julianne Moore and Vince Vaughn, and especially with all the actual like physical dinosaurs that were there, animatronics and stuff like that, would be so cool. Like just be such a cool set to work on. Apparently, everyone gets to choose what dinosaur they would want to be, and apparently 3 of them want to be the Brachiosaurus. Vince Vaughn probably because he is almost as tall as a Brachiosaurus. Stan Winston, the creature effect creator, wants to be a Tyrannosaurus Rex, as does Jeff Goldblum. But Vanessa Lee Chester wants to be a Velociraptor. They just seem so slick and suave and really cool, and they travel in packs, and I'm always with my little clique of friends. So she's saying, you know what, teenage girls, not too dissimilar from Velociraptors. There's an interview with Jeff Goldblum. Jeff Goldblum. One of the things that was a little frustrating about The Lost World was they brought back Jeff Goldblum, but they didn't bring back Ian Malcolm. Like, obviously he was playing Ian Malcolm, but he just wasn't the same character, you know? I feel like there was a little bit of like retconning. You know, both characters had a certain way of talking like Jeff Goldblum, you know? I love watching interviews with Jeff Goldblum because he's just as he's just kind of fanciful, you know. He has a certain way of elevating certain ways that he speaks, and he's fully pleased to embrace his eccentricities. So I really like when I was reading it, I could really hear him saying like, "Yeah, the dinosaurs were very scary." I'm not very good. I don't have a really good Jeff Goldblum impression, so you'll have to forgive me. They were very scary. They were moving around and interacting with us. They breathe and blink with their eyes, so they seemed for all the world like real dinosaurs. I like is that the way that he's answering questions, you can kind of tell that he's playing into the fact that this is a magazine for kids, and he's just having fun with it. They even actually interview Stan Winston, which I really like. It's just one of the things that I think, even when I was a kid, I didn't really care so much about this interview. It didn't really interest me. Now I'm super glad that it's here. Stan Winston was like the guy for creature effects. It was like Stan Winston or Jim Henson, right? Or Jim Henson Productions, since at this point Jim Henson had already passed away. But he made some of the most amazing creature effects in cinema history. Like he made the Alien, the Terminator. Those are his most famous ones. But one that's really underrated is his work in Galaxy Quest. There you go. The alien bad guys in Galaxy Quest are awesome. They're just totally convincing. They totally look real.
Perhaps I'm not as stupid as I am ugly, Commander.
There's one for sure I really want to point you toward. Yeah, there's this movie I saw with some friends quite a few years ago now. Like, I was going to say not that long ago, but then, no, it's probably more like 15 years ago. There's a movie with a Stan Winston creature, and it's called The Relic from 1997. And the movie's not like amazing. It's good. I like it, but it's not like an amazing movie. But there's a monster in it that is just awesome. And it really has that look that's like a singular vision. You know, there's a lot of movie monsters these days that are just kind of a little overcomplicated. It's a certain kind of movie monster from, I just feel like, this lost period in time where there was this really cool practical creature effects. I should find a copy of that and get it for myself, because I don't know, I just haven't really seen it on any streaming platforms. I've never had it recommended to me. So yeah, I gotta find The Relic. Worth checking out for sure. But yes, anyways, Stan Winston, amazing, just amazing creature effects. Stan Winston died in 2008. He was only 62. Big loss, I think, to the Hollywood community. He was a legend, and we are still getting films that have his mark on them today. So thank you, Stan. You're the man. What killed the dinosaurs? Well, there's actually only one answer for that. The Ice Age.
What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age!
Let's talk a little bit about The Lost World, Jurassic Park. Out of the Jurassic Park sequels I've seen, I think it's easily my favorite. I know some people kind of go with like the first Jurassic World, but I really like The Lost World. I think it's not as good as the first, but it's got some cool parts, and like my personal favorite scenes are like the when the raptors are like hunting the dino hunters in the field. And they just basically like they're running and they start to get sucked into the grass and just start disappearing. That whole sequence I think is really cool, really tense. Some really cool chase sequences with the Tyrannosaurus Rex, and that scene where the bus or the truck is dangling off the edge is so well directed and so tense. It's still like the world-class filmmaker Steven Spielberg making a movie, but he is hindered by a script that just really isn't as solid and tight as the first Jurassic Park. And there are characters who make a lot of dumb, very questionable decisions. So it's not a perfect movie. It is a disappointment compared to the first film, but it's Shakespeare compared to the third one. Jurassic Park 3, I think, is terrible. It's a film that feels useless. Like, it's trying constantly to justify its own existence. Which is a shame because, they brought back Alan Grant.
Alan.
The director is good. Joe Johnston. He's made good movies. He's a good director. He's got the first Captain America movie, The Rocketeer. There's more than that. Jumanji. Yeah, that's a good one. And, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, that one's still like one of my favorite movies from when I was a kid. Joe Johnston, talented filmmaker, still can only do so much. Jurassic Park, the first film, is one of my favorite movies of all time. It's just so captivating every time I watch it. There's certain scenes I could just watch over and over and over again. It's just amazing. Jurassic World is fun. But the more you think about it, the more you're like, I don't know. Same with the second Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom. It had its moments, and the director, J.A. Bayona, I think his name is a really good director. But it just also kind of, just kind of felt a little hollow by the end of it. But at least it was trying to change the status quo. It wasn't just going to be always people going to the island for reasons that are going to get harder and harder to justify. And so I appreciated that it was trying to take things into that direction. I didn't even watch the last one. I heard nothing good about Jurassic World Dominion, and I just wasn't interested. I don't know. I couldn't make myself watch it. I don't know. If you think I should watch Jurassic World Dominion, let me know in the comments down below if that's one I should commit to. But I am interested in this new one that's coming out. What is it called? Jurassic World Rebirth. Because I like Gareth Edwards as a director sometimes. And he's suited for the material because I actually liked his Godzilla movie, and I liked The Creator and Rogue One. So actually, most of his movies I liked. Regardless of what you think of some of his films, he is a good special effects director. He's a very talented guy working with a limited budget to create like great special effects. Will the movie have a good story? That remains to be seen. But here's hoping. Here we are, the 100 Days of Summer. It starts with The Lost World, Jurassic Park, in theaters on May 24th. So we kind of missed that anniversary this year, but that's okay. Go see it, but beware of the raptors. They're even nastier than in the first movie. Looks like No Doubt was going on tour, and looks like they were starting their tour in Vancouver, British Columbia, which is, hey, my home city, at Pacific Coliseum. It was on May 26th. That's kind of cool. I actually live really close to Pacific Coliseum, so All For One, their new CD comes out today on May 27th. But we already know they're not cool for fifth graders. So why would we care? So there's some things that they just kind of suggest for those days where there's nothing going on. Just like go through the TV listing, circle all the reruns you missed the first time around, and watch them. There you go. There's a little piece of 90s problems. Missing your favorite show and having to watch it when it goes on reruns. So this suggests that on May 30th to bury a time capsule with your favorite CD, toy, video game, book, piece of clothing, and anything else you think is cool. And then dig it up on day 101 to see if everything's still hot. That's not very long for something to lose its appeal. Is 100 days. Like, that's just the summer? And why would I take my favorite video game and favorite CD and hide them for the summer when I have the most time to listen to them and play them? Come on, Disney Adventures, like that. Where's the sense in that? Where's the sense of that? No way any kid did that. Maybe put them in a box, or I don't know, just put it under your bed or whatever. And then you can pull it out when you need it. Prince's birthday was on June 7th. This time he was still the artist formerly known as Prince, where he was that symbol instead of Prince because of, which is actually an interesting story. I won't get into it now. It is a good story.
For another time.
Here you go. Here's one for you. There's a bunch of movies that come out during the summer, so it's kind of cool to see what was kind of all competing in the market. Because we know all these movies now as their own individual things. But for a little while, they all shared the multiplexes together. We already have The Lost World in theaters. Apparently, it was up against Batman and Robin, a notorious box office bomb. Almost killed superhero movies because of how bad it was. Although, I mean, as bad as it is, it's not a good movie, but it is a fun movie.
What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age!
So, you know what? I still would watch it. June 27th, Hercules, the Disney version of Hercules, hits the big screen. So there you go. There's another movie that shared the multiplexes with Batman and Robin. Not a huge hit, but I don't think it was a big failure either. But I don't know tons about the box office of Hercules. Maybe I'll save that for if we do a Hercules Disney Adventure reading. You should try to catch U2's Too Cool concert tour this summer. Trying a little too hard there, Disney Adventures. Tonight is their second show at Soldier Field in Chicago. So U2, in 1997, they are touring the Pop Mart tour for their album Pop, which is an extremely underrated U2 album. Or you know what? No. It used to be an underrated U2 album. Now it's actually, in the U2 fan community, it's gathered quite a bit of respect. It took a long time for people to see what they were trying to do with that album. I know the band never really was satisfied with it. It's an imperfect album. It's got flaws, but it's fascinating, and I think it's almost more interesting because of its flaws. I'd listen to U2's Pop any day of the week. There's a couple tracks I'd skip. Here we go. Men in Black, a freaky fun flick which Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones investigate aliens, opens today, July 2nd. Men in Black. I would love to find a Disney Adventures with that on the cover, but I don't recall seeing one. Because Men in Black, out of the movies we've talked about so far, is the best of the bunch. The story's paced super well, right amount of action, right amount of comedy. Yeah, no notes. None of the Men in Black sequels have really lived up to the first. Kind of like Jurassic Park, but worse. Titanic, starring Leonardo DiCaprio, opens today on July the 4th. Interesting, only a couple days after Men in Black. Oh yeah, because of the long weekend, because of July the 4th. So Men in Black got a little bit of time to shine before Titanic came in. Yeah, it says, after you see the movie, go to the library and read more about this real-life tragedy. Just how little fanfare they're giving it in this. And also because, again, Titanic wouldn't really be a kid's movie. I don't think anyone expected anything out of Titanic. I think maybe they expected it to be a modest hit, not like the biggest movie of all time. Just a little glimpse of just like a world pre-Titanic. I didn't know this, but apparently Patrick Stewart and Harrison Ford share a birthday, July 13th. So happy birthday, you guys. They're probably close to the same age. I have to look that up. Patrick Stewart might be a little older. But I like how they use the picture, and here they use the picture of the modern Patrick Stewart, but the Star Wars Harrison Ford. It's not like Harrison Ford wasn't in movies at that time. I think it's right around Air Force One. They suggest rent a movie you've always wanted to see but never got around to watching on July 16th. And then write a review commenting on important things like the best special effects, dumbest line, and wackiest hairdo. Sure. You can't apply those things to every movie. I mean, let's say they rented Schindler's List. Which hairdo's the wackiest one in Schindler's List? And what is the dumbest line? But, that's actually not a bad idea, is to just go rent a movie that you've always wanted to see but never got around to. And, like, make it a day. I would love to do that. I have so many movies I haven't seen. I've seen a lot of movies. But there's more movies I haven't seen, and I just want to spend more time watching films that I've missed out on. But every day that goes by, more films are made, and I miss more. George of the Jungle, starring Encino Man Brendan Fraser, opens today. There's another one sharing the multiplexes with Titanic. Is George of the Jungle. George of the Jungle I watched recently. It's still fun. It's not a great movie, but it's a fun movie and worth watching. And for no other reason, just to see Brendan Fraser shredded. Jonathan Taylor Thomas and Devon Sawa trek across country to photograph gators, moose, and bears. Oh my! In wild America. I don't think I ever saw it, but the name sounds familiar, and I do remember JTT. Arnold Schwarzenegger turned 50 on July 30th. Freeze popsicles to celebrate.
Yes, age!
Well, geez, that means that he's got to be getting close to 80 now. Because, this is 97. It's 2025. We're not quite 30 years later, but we're getting there. Have a scary movie festival. Rent movies like Poltergeist and Jaws and invite friends over for a sleepover. Don't forget to turn out the lights. That actually sounds like fun. There's been a few bombs we've talked about, but here's one of the big ones. He plays basketball, raps, and fights crime as the superhero Steel in a new movie out today. Who are we talking about? Go see Steel for a big hint. Shaquille O'Neal, right? Played Steel. That one is one of the biggest superhero box office bombs out there. I've never seen it. I hear it's not good, but I kind of want to watch it anyway. Because I don't know. Because I'm a glutton for punishment. On the 15th, Keiko watchers won't want to miss Free Willy 3 splashing down in theaters today. I didn't even realize Free Willy 3 got to theaters. I would have thought that would have been straight to video, but I guess I'm wrong. This one I really like. They say, start training for the 2004 Summer Olympics. Kids, you gotta start now. It's 1997. You gotta start for the 2004 Summer Olympics. And they're not wrong. You're not wrong. If you want to get there, you gotta start soon. It's the right piece of advice for a select few people, but not for every kid. Have a funny movie flick festival. Make lots of popcorn and rent 3 movies that make you laugh the most. We recommend Dumb and Dumber, The Nutty Professor, and Space Jam. Space Jam doesn't really fit with that bunch. Maybe The Mask, if you want to double up on some Jim Carrey. Although maybe that's a little adult. Well, so is Dumb and Dumber. Oh, wow. I didn't realize this one came out too. Comic book hero Spawn hits the big screen today. Check out Spawn, the movie, at a theater near you. There was a lot of comic book films. Everyone kind of says Batman and Robin's the movie that almost killed the comic book movie industry. But honestly, it could more like that triple whammy. That's 3 movies that all really underperformed. Men in Black's the one that did well. It kind of puts things into perspective. You just can't put it all on Batman and Robin. Like, for serious, like, Steel and Spawn. Now, okay, Editor Douglas here, just throwing in some notes because this is really interesting stuff to me. As far as, like, which comic book movies were bombs and which were successes, it's all kind of relative. So, out of the 3 bombs, Spawn is the winner. It made about double its budget, which is $87.9 million. So yeah, that's technically not a huge financial success, but not really a huge box office bomb. Batman and Robin made $238 million, but it had a much higher budget from $125 to $160 million, and it wasn't even twice the budget of the film. So usually the big studios want to at least double the budget of the movie. In this case, it didn't make that. And also, again, it was a Batman movie, so it was really expected to make a lot more. Men in Black was a box office hit. And so on a budget of $90 million, it made almost $600 million. So it was clearly the winner of that comic book one at $589.4 million. For the 1997 summer season, Men in Black is a clear winner. The clear loser is definitely Steel. Even though it only had a budget of $16 million, it only made $1.7 million. That is a huge loss. So maybe it was Steel that almost killed comic book movies. But it was more likely just the trajectory of box office performance of comic book films. So back to that, Douglas. I have seen most of Spawn. And yeah, it's one that definitely hasn't aged well. Notoriously, Roger Ebert really liked it. He was so fascinated by the hell portions of it because he's and he's right. Is that he says he'd never seen anything like that before in a movie, but the special effects have aged so poorly. Yeah, really, it was the next year, 1998, when Blade came into the theaters and was a big hit. And I think that's what saved comic book movies was Blade. People usually cite X-Men, but Blade was a couple years before it, and it was a pretty successful film, and it's still mostly pretty good. A little anticlimactic, but mostly pretty good. Not much else to talk about at the end. It's a little bit of a drag at the end of summer. Not much going on. September 1st, it's Labor Day. Unearth your time capsule and decide if the stuff you buried is still cool or not. How about no? Because it's my stuff, and I don't want to bury it. There you go. That's a little glimpse into the summer of 1997. Yeah, a lot of movies that are still remembered well today, and other ones that are really not. Let's see if there's anything else worth looking at here. The comics, yeah, there's not too much to talk about in the comics section, except that they had the Disney Adventures was showcasing the comic book Bone, with this little white character who was walking around. It was very interesting because he was this very cartoony looking character, but he was in this really interesting fantasy world where everything else it didn't look as cartoony as he did. I wanted to get all the Bone stories, but I just couldn't. Nowadays, I could probably just find a collection of them easily enough, and actually fulfill my childhood goal of reading Bone from start to finish, because I just found it quite captivating. To see in this is an example of it. Bone, this funny looking white guy, he's Sunday Funnies kind of comic character looking kind of guy. And then there's this girl who's this really well-drawn, normal-looking girl. And they exist in the same world. And a Mighty Ducks comic. Mighty Ducks the cartoon, not the movies with Emilio Estevez. Oh, hello. He's telling me it's time to go to bed, I think. He's not wrong. I'm not super interested in the Mighty Ducks, to be honest. I never really watched the show. So I'm not particularly into reading the comic. And then it just says what's coming up next month. And the answer is Batman and Robin. You know you're not supposed to be on the table, right? Okay. Careful. All right, there we go. Then there's a little Gatorade ad in the back where it's trying to look very extreme and super cool. I mean, it's over now, so I guess I should leave it at that now that I'm being pulled to bed by my fuzzy little son here. So thanks for taking that journey with me. Hopefully this turns out to be kind of entertaining. Thanks for talking about Jurassic Park and all the fun things that were going on in the summer of 1997. So do you remember this issue of Disney Adventure Magazine? Or do you just remember kind of this era of Disney Adventure? Feel free to share some memories of yours in the comments down below. I'd love to hear what you have to say, and hopefully it won't be too long before we do another one of these. So, oh my goodness, child. Oh my goodness. Okay, bye everyone.